between the mineral lines and a cliff ledge, so that way their stalkers or their other anti-air units, their hydralisks, just can't get in there in any way, shape, or form, and it becomes ridiculously hard to get rid of a mothership and its accompanying flotilla. And, another thing that you can do is you can also, with a warp prison, you just take a warp prison with your mothership, just set down a pylon field, and then you can just start warping units into this whichever base you're attacking. So it allows you to pretty much make a game-ending move within seconds. You can do this just by warping a mothership across the map along with a warp prism. And if anyone was wondering, it took me a little while to figure this out, but to build a mothership, you actually produce it out of a nexus, and you can only produce. So HD, you had something to say about the mothership. Go for it.
Yeah, the mothership, you can only produce one. I think it got a little cut off right there. The mothership is pretty damn good, although I found out that people like to really focus fire that thing down because it's probably as slow as a Broodlord, which is slower than a Guardian. So it's pretty damn slow, but it's cool. It's definitely cool. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about was carriers. I actually played a game. It was a free-for-all. Now, when we were at BlizzCon, those guys, the Blizzard guys, were like, you can only play 1v1, you can only play 1v1, you can't play anything else, but we found this special area, the tournament stand, where we could play free-for-alls, we could play 2v2s, it was freaking awesome. We just had to keep it down low so nobody really found out. And I heard they kicked out a couple people because they were playing 2v2, which I think is just ridiculous. I mean, if you have the option there, we're going to play 2v2, we're not going to play 1v1 all day, but I played this free-for-all game. It ended up that these two people allied against me, so I was playing 1 versus 2. Thankfully, I think they were WoW players or something, because they weren't that great. I cannoned in my natural expansion, and I had like 4 or 5 Stargates, and I was just producing mass carriers with a single mothership. At one point, I had about 25 carriers in a mothership, and carriers are still godly. They still own the crap out of everything. And I was just flying around the map and telling my carriers to just go blow shit up. But I noticed that people will automatically focus down that mothership, and they can take it down pretty quickly, although it does have a lot of HP. I think it's 400 HP, 400 shields. One cool mechanic about the carriers, if you guys know about Pro Starcraft and in Brood War, when you tell interceptors to attack in carriers, you can actually preload them by telling all of your carriers to attack, say, an Overlord or one of your own carriers, and all your interceptors will come flying out. And if you control it properly, when you go and attack a base, all of your interceptors, all 9 of them, will already be outside of the carrier and ready to attack whatever they want to attack. In StarCraft 2, you can actually tell your carriers to attack a certain unit and then hit S for stop, and by doing that, all of your interceptors will fly out and kind of just hover there. They'll start flying back to your carriers, but if you continually press S, they'll just fly out back and forth, back and forth. So essentially, if you control it properly, you can have all of your interceptors times 25 carriers all already out just by using the S stop key, and you'll have a cloud of interceptors flying around with your carriers, and then you can basically engage the targets with all of your interceptors already ready to go. So that's something you might see pros doing. I'm not sure, but I thought it was a pretty cool mechanic. I was just spamming S with a ton of carriers, and it was really cool to watch all the interceptors kind of just hover there back and forth. Yeah, that's
I just want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to address some of the stuff that's going on in the IRC and things, and they're talking about whether or not motherships would get easily target fired and such things. And my personal opinion on that is that if you lose a mothership, you were either not paying attention or you were failing, because you should always have enough. You should always be able to teleport away in an emergency. You can always teleport that thing away, and the teleport doesn't cost that much. I know I was casting teleport and then casting vortex on top of it very, very quickly, so it doesn't take very long to save it, even if it does get folk fired. You should be able to just send it home, and then you can recharge its shields with the obelisk. That's one of the cool things about the obelisk is you can recharge shields, and you can also recharge energy. So you can actually do a lot with that thing, along with the mothership. You can charge up your High Templars and things before a fight. So you really shouldn't be losing motherships, in my opinion, and they're actually not that expensive. They only cost 400, which is less than 2 carriers. So in the grand scheme of things, for the power and the ability, it's really not that expensive. But I do have to agree with you that the carriers were absolutely insane. Those interceptors are fired out so quickly, and I don't know if they actually were or not, but it just seemed like they were taking down buildings and taking down units faster than SE1, or maybe it was just my excitement about seeing it. But that's how it felt like. It felt like to me.
Yeah, and actually, just really quick, because I haven't commented on the carrier thing or the mothership thing yet. I do think we have to wrap up soon, but I do want to say something. Me and Dejavu played a 2v2. I was Terran, he was Protoss. We were playing against two Protosses, and he said he was going to go for a quick tech while I harassed. So I went up and I harassed, and I went 2 barracks into a whole bunch of Marines. I did a couple Marauders here and there, and I teched the tanks pretty quickly. So I got about 3 tanks out, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm pushing now." And I'm like, "Well, what are you pushing with? I thought you were teching." And I look in the air, and he's got about 6 carriers and a mothership. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how the hell do you tech that quickly? I'm sitting here with tanks, you know what I mean? Like, tanks aren't that far up the tech tree, and that's what I'm pumping out right now, you know what I mean? I have yet to get to Thors and, like, anything else. Like, I might want to start nuking on the low ground or something like that. No, 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 no. Carriers and mothership are in the air, and he just dominated with the rest of the match with it. So I took the rest of my units, walked in the front door while he, you know, just melted everything from the side. So and they GG'd once they actually saw the force, because they were dealing with my harass for such a long time. But it was a good match nonetheless. But I just I wanted to point out how quick it is actually to tech in SC2. At least for Protoss, from that match alone. I mean, that was pretty shocking for me. But I do think that we have to wrap up soon, unless you guys have some other stuff to comment on.
Yeah, I think we're going to aim for 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so a 2-hour podcast, if that's okay with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick things I wanted to talk about. Mutalisk Micro, still there. They don't clump up as well as they did in Brood War. You do not have to put a Larva or an Overlord with your Mutalisk group for them to clump up. You can actually just tell them to basically continuously click to a location. They'll all group up, all 12 Mutalisks, or even more than 12. You have unlimited unit selection now. Mutalisk Micro now, when you're microing your Mutalisks around, very easy. If you do Mutalisk Micro and Brood War, you know that you have to come in at exactly the right angle for the Mutalisk to have full range. In Starcraft 2, that's not the case. Mutalisks can fire from any direction 180 degrees in front of them, not behind them, of course, but 180 degrees in front of them, so they can shoot to the left, and they still have that full range. So they're very easy to micro now. A little bit imbi, I would even say, because you can pretty much micro like 50 Mutalisks as a ball of one, although they don't clump up as well as they did in Brood War. When you tell them to move around here and there a little bit, they will unclump over time. Another thing I wanted to talk about is 2v2s. Now in StarCraft 2, in Brood War, 1v1s were the dominant on the pro scene, but I think in StarCraft 2, 2v2s could become very much popular, because now 2v2s are played on special types of maps. The maps now, basically, you will share a choke point with your player, and in the lobby, the game will determine whoever your teammate is, and they'll spawn your teammate in the correct location on the map. You will share a common area with your teammates, so you'll both have your own natural expansion, and the natural expansion will then lead to this common area, which will have a single choke point that you guys can defend together as a team. Instead of basically in Brood War, it would be both players massing up units and then just go bum rush one player, and your teammate couldn't really help you. In StarCraft 2, that's not the case. On the ground, at least, you guys will both share a choke point that you can defend. And I actually remember playing a few games that were awesomely fun. My friend actually built a bunker. I forgot who it was, but he tried to bunker rush. It was me, a Zerg player, and my friend as a Terran player. I forgot who I was playing with. And he actually built a bunker, was trying to bunker rush another guy. I was bringing in Zerglings. And I think I was playing with you, Dejavu, and it was against my brother and this other guy that we met in line. And I think you were the one building the bunker, and it was just awesome because I was using Zerglings trying to like protect your bunker rush, and you were getting Marines inside the bunker trying to take down this guy's probe line, or I think it was a Terran player. He was building Marauders and trying to defend, and it was just awesome. The micro, the intensity is still there in StarCraft 2, and I'll let Dejavu talk a little bit more about that. But with these last 25 minutes, I was kind of hoping we could talk a little bit about that epic hour-long PVZ that me and Dejavu had, and then Phrank, you can moderate that discussion as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we played, the three of us played. I know I played a lot of games with HD. I played a bunch with Phrank as well, and definitely I agree with you, HD. That game in particular was definitely a game where I was like, micro is still an extremely huge portion of this game. You really still have to micro your Marines around, and especially early on, you know, when you have 2 or 3 Marines, it's the same way. You still got to sit there and dodge Zerglings or dodge Zealots and try and work them into your bunker and protect your... It's exactly It's exactly